Krishna, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, I think we will get started now.
Okay, Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees for our fifth session. Fifth, right? Or
yes,
sixth?
Prabhu, fifth session. No, fifth session.
Fifth session of Vaishnava character series. In the previous session, we discussed about tolerance. We can continue the discussion, and we will also enter another discussion on a related quality, which is forgiveness. Tolerance and forgiveness go well together. Last time we discussed that we need to tolerate at least some smaller inconveniences that we might face in our dealings with other devotees. We discussed the example of tree, and we also referred to some quotations by Srila Prabhupada, and we also referred to this Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna. So Vaishnava should also learn from various examples of great Vaishnavas like Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu. Prabhupada says Jesus Christ, how much he tolerated. So there is, if we don't tolerate even small things that are done by others, we cannot expect tolerance from others. If we become intolerable to others in minor mistakes, others also cannot tolerate us. Okay, then we'll think, oh, am I so intolerable? We may think like that. Yes, it's difficult to tolerate. So one day, one devotee asked his guru that, I'm not taking names, I'm just telling the principle. He said, Maharaj, this is happening, these devotees do like this, these devotees do like that. How to tolerate all this? Then Maharaj said, the way I am tolerating you, you tolerate them. Then the devotee said, first time I started thinking, am I also intolerable? Okay, it's difficult for devotees to tolerate me also. So like that, for a guru or for a senior person, like while dealing with younger people who are not sufficiently experienced or mature enough, the elders must have some tolerance. Children may shout, parents have to tolerate. They may do some mischief, parents tolerate. Students may not listen properly in the classroom, teacher has to tolerate, right? So tolerance has to be exhibited at multiple levels, whether you are a senior, superior, or a younger person. Sometimes elder people may become little heavy and strict, and they may chastise us. So younger people should tolerate. Okay, they should not feel offended so much. They should not feel egoistic. Hey, how is he correcting me like this? Yeah, some grandfathers are there, grandmother is there. They may become little strict, or they may get irritated because of their age or whatever. So the younger generation must tolerate. So the tolerance is associated with respect, gratitude. So when you have some internal respect and gratitude for a person, whether a senior person or a friend or parents or grandparents, whoever, that respect and gratitude will manifest as tolerance in our dealings with them when their behavior or their words are a bit not so palatable, right? So even if someone causes some inconvenience to me, I'll tolerate because I love the person. So tolerance based on love, gratitude, and respect is sustainable. If tolerance is just, I am tolerating this fellow. My God, he's like irritating so much. I'm tolerating. Like you tolerate with disgust, the tolerance will become intolerance very soon, right? So how long you will tolerate? Of course, we cannot tolerate something inappropriate that's happening consistently for a long time. Okay, but in certain relationships, especially in our relationships with devotees and seniors and elders, we must exhibit tolerance based on gratitude and respect. Fine. So even if the behavior is not that great, that appropriate, they may become little irritated by something, and you go in the picture, and then they will start transferring all that frustration on you. But okay, let me tolerate. It's okay. It's not his consistent behavior. It's not his thai bhava that he constantly irritates. Maybe he is little going through some phase. He's busy, and I went and disturbed him. That's why he became a little angry. So we should empathize with that person. So when there is empathy, there is sympathy, there is forgiveness, there is respect, there is gratitude. Tolerance becomes a manifestation in the dealings, right? So we also discussed about titikshaya, karunaya, maitriya, chakhela jitushu. So we have this sloka of tattenukampam susamikshamaano bhunjana evatmakritam vipakam. So tolerance has to be exhibited at multiple levels. So did I speak about tolerance at bodily level, mental level, intellectual level, egoistic level? I spoke, right? Fine. So I'll not touch on that now. So then tolerance, from as we learn from this shloka, Tatena Kampam shloka, is very profound. Like when we are facing some inconveniences or troubles or distresses in life, although we are very innocent, apparently there is no mistake on our part in a particular situation or a particular interaction with someone, still we face some inconvenience. Still we face some difficulty. Then we need to tolerate it, thinking that I must have done some mistake in the past. Right? That's what Brahma teaches us. Tatena kampam susamikshamana. Susamiksha, you just analyze it. Right? In your full analysis, you found you're innocent. You're not at fault. But bhunjana eva atmakritam vipakam. Although I am innocent in this context, I must have done something wrong, inappropriate in the past. Right? Atmakritam vipakam. Without a background of my own misdeed, I will not experience any difficulty today. Right? So there is a background of misdeed. There is something wrong that we have done, and that is the reason why we are facing some inconvenience now. Okay, so we need to understand that nothing happens randomly. In the Supreme Lord Krishna's arrangement, naturally, a person who deserves a punishment will receive that punishment through a means, through a person, or through a situation. And as the acharyas say, don't blame the instrument of your own karma. You deserve this punishment, therefore you are being punished in this way. But don't blame the people through which you are getting it. Okay. So, how to tolerate that internal and external tolerance? How to cultivate that internal and external tolerance? There is a beautiful shloka in the fourth canto of Bhagavatam. Yasya yaddaiva vihitam satena sukha dukkhayoh atmanam toshayam dehi tamasah paramricchati. Yasya yaddaiva vihitam. Daiva vihitam means that which is ordained by the Lord, that which is offered to us by the Supreme Will. Satyana sukha dukkhayoh, whether it is happiness or distress, let's accept it. Okay. So, Atmanam toshayan dehi. A devotee is satisfied with whatever happiness or distress comes on its own accord by the Supreme Will. So, one should not be perturbed. So, tolerance becomes easy when we recognize the Supreme Will behind all the happenings in life. So many things are happening. Without the Lord's sanction, nothing happens. So accept it as Supreme Will, then tolerance becomes easy. Otherwise, frustration is guaranteed. Okay. So that's one thing. Then matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama apayino anityaha tamstitikshasva bharata. Another point on having ability to tolerate, cultivating the ability to tolerate is understand that this distress is temporary. Happiness is also temporary. So we have to tolerate not only distress, we have to tolerate happiness also. So know that happiness and distress both are temporary, so therefore tolerate. One is temporariness of the material circumstances. Second, the Supreme Will, the God, the hand of Supreme Lord behind these two reasons will help us tolerate different circumstances. Okay. So now we will discuss a few examples of devotees who exhibited this quality of tolerance, and we'll go to the next topic of forgiveness. One example from the 11th canto, that is Avadhuta Brahman. Okay. So Avadhut Brahman had he started going to different places in his travelings. Some say he is Dattatreya. Okay. So there he has learned one important lesson from Mother Earth. So many aggressors are troubling Mother Earth in various ways, but she is tolerating. So he has learned this lesson from Mother Earth, and he thought a sober person, when harassed by other living beings, should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of God. Therefore, let me not hold any grudge. Let me tolerate. Okay. So Avanti Brahman, Avadhut Brahman we have seen. Avanti Brahman also comes in the same Uddhava Gita. There, Avanti Brahman had a very important and popular shloka. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetoh na devatatma graha karma kalah manah param karanama mananti samsara chakram parivartayedyat. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetoh. These janas, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. Number two, na devata. Devatas are not the cause. Atma, my own body is not the cause. Sometimes one hates one's body. Oh, this body does not have one leg. This body does not have one eye. Yeah, I mean, yes, one may have a deformed body, but one should just learn to accept it the way it is, right? Because we do not acquire a body without we deserving that body. Right? Some people hate themselves so much when they go in front of the mirror. Hey, my face is like this, my features are like this. So, because there's the fear of social acceptance. When I'm not looking very smart, because the bodily conception is so deep that people think that when I'm not looking very smart or very handsome or beautiful, people may just look down upon me, right? So that causes some kind of insecurity and some kind of discomfort in public. People may not be even smiling, or sometimes people may not have very much wealth to wear some expensive dress, and they have to go for a social gathering and they feel very uncomfortable, right? So, like, one needs to accept the circumstances, the situations that the Lord has created for us, because the Lord doesn't give us anything that we don't deserve. Whether He gives poverty or prosperity, He will give us only when we deserve it, right? So let's accept it, experience it, and get higher realizations. If there is no acceptance, there is frustration. Okay? There is intolerance. If there is acceptance, tolerance becomes very easy, right? Let's accept things the way they are happening. And if there is a necessity to change certain things, we can endeavor for a good positive change. There's nothing wrong in it, right? We always have some free will while we are being conditioned by our own past misdeeds. Okay, but we have a free will. We can utilize it in a very appropriate manner, with humility, with honesty, with integrity, and do the necessary changes or transformations in our situations or in our lives, and then be happy with whatever comes, right? Whatever the Lord sanctions. So therefore, this Avanti Brahman says, Nayam janome sukha dukkha hetoho. This jana is not the cause. Devas are not the cause. Atma, my own body, is not the cause. Graha. Some say people blame the planets. Graha means planets. So grahas are not very good. Graha gati is not very good. That's why it may be true from astrology perspective, but from a much deeper perspective, devotional perspective, Avanti Brahman says grahas are also not the cause. Karma is not the cause. Kala is not the cause. What is the cause then? He's eliminating all possible causes. What exactly is the cause of one's suffering? Manaha param karanama mananti samsara chakram parivartayedya. So all the 5-6 causes that our Avanti Brahman has identified, kala, karma, graha, mana, not mana, other things, daiva, all that he identified can be potential causes for suffering, no doubt. But he eliminated them and gave bigger seat to mana, mind. So the mind is a greater cause of suffering than other things. Although daiva may cause suffering, or kala, karma, all these things may cause suffering, but the mind magnifies the suffering. How? The mind, when it identifies oneself as the body, that bodily conception causes suffering. So because of karma, one may suffer some physical disease, for example. Fine, maybe the person got some cancer or some kind of chronic disease, right? So he's experiencing, yes, karma is the cause of suffering, okay? But the mind, the mana, magnifies that suffering by comparing oneself with other people. Already there is some suffering. Why are you increasing it? By comparing with others, by getting frustrated, by blaming, by complaining, by criticizing. So mind has a tendency to overthink. Material intelligence has a tendency to overly analyze. So because of this mind, which is distracted, which is not focusing on Krishna, we suffer more than what we deserve. Isn't it? So there is some suffering, definitely. And there are causes of suffering, karma, kala, graha, etc. But if we focus our mind on Krishna, man, mana, bhava, mad, bhakto, if we focus our mind on Krishna like ananyas chintayanto mam, we can minimize the suffering. Suffering exists, we will be unaffected by suffering, right? But if we allow the mind to go in 100 different directions, okay, without focusing on Krishna, there is more suffering. Okay, don't increase your suffering. There is enough suffering in this world. There is enough suffering. Tolerate the urges of the mind. The first shloka of Upadeshamrita says that Vacho Vegam, Manasaha Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Udara Upastha Vegam, Etan Vegan Yo Vishaheta Dhira, Sarvam Apimam Prithivim Chasishyat. One who can tolerate the urges of the mind. There are 6 urges, but one is mind. One who can tolerate the urges of the mind can make disciples all over the world. Can basically deal with the distresses of this world in a more mature manner, right? So let's make our mind more mature by diverting it to Krishna. Then tolerance, the suffering exists, but will not get affected by it. Okay. Then Ambarish Maharaj, he tolerated. What did he tolerate? This Durvasa Muni is trying to kill Ambarish Maharaj, but he just kept quiet. You know what has happened. Then Bali Maharaj, he also tolerated. He tolerated the insult. Just like you see, Lord Vamanadev said, I want 3 steps of land. Then Bali said, why 3 steps? You take so much. I'll give you one planet. No, I want only 3 steps. He gave a big lecture on principles of satisfaction. Right? If I'm not tolerated, if I'm not satisfied with 3 steps, even if you give me 3 worlds, I will not be satisfied. Really? Okay, fine, take 3 steps. Then he took 3 steps. In 2 steps, he occupied the 3 worlds. He occupied all the entire universe and said, where is my 3rd step? So he's not satisfied. The Lord spoken principles of satisfaction and he is not exhibiting that satisfaction. He is not satisfied by occupying all the 3 worlds. He wanted the 3rd step more. Why? The Lord is not satisfied with a devotee. If the devotee's disposition is anything less than complete surrender, right? The Lord says, Aniyor. Although he says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, you just give me this much only, I'm satisfied. But actually, the Lord is not satisfied with anything less than complete surrender. Bali Maharaj, yeah, he has love for me, he has devotion for me, I understand that, but I want complete surrender from him. I'm not satisfied yet. That's the 3rd step that he wanted. I want complete surrender from Bali Maharaj. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja, only me. Hey Krishna, I'll take your shelter. Sufficiently I'll take your shelter. 90% I'm with you only. 10% allow me to do some sense gratification. Okay, 95. Fine, 95. 95 for you, 5% for this. He says, Mam ekam, only me. I want 100% surrender. Right? Because I'm your well-wisher. Because Krishna loves us so much, and Krishna is convinced that only when we are 100% surrendered unto Krishna, then we are happy. Therefore, Krishna doesn't allow us to go anywhere else. That's why he always says Ananya. What is Ananya so many times? He could say Kevala Bhakti. Kevala is also Ananya only. He could say good Bhakti, pure devotional service. Many times there is emphasis not only on surrender to Krishna, there is a lot of emphasis on not surrendering to something else. That's why Ananya Bhakti. The word Ananya comes in Bhagavad Gita several times. Ananya means don't go anywhere else. Come to me only. Right? Like Krishna is too possessive about us. When we become possessive of Krishna, Krishna likes to become our possession. Till then, Krishna exhibits his possessiveness. Right? You are mine. Understand? Mama eva amsho. He says, you are mine. You belong to me. Mama eva amsho. Therefore, Ananya Bhakti you do. Ananyas chintayanto amam yejanaha paripasate. Right? If you do Ananya Bhakti, then I'll become Sulabha. Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. Sulabha means easy. You can easily attain me if you divert your mind from 10 different things and focus only on me. Right? Ananya Bhakti. So coming back to Bali's example, sorry, I'm going in multiple directions. I'm not doing Ananya talk on tolerance only, but it's good. It's ultimately about Ananya Bhakti. Okay. So Bali Maharaj has to completely surrender himself. Okay. But apparently what did the Lord do? Till Bali Maharaj completely surrendered by putting his head under the feet of the Lord is testing him. With cheating, he accepted charity. By cheating, he occupied the universe and accepted all the property of Bali Maharaj. And later he says, he also says, you have not given me what I wanted, so therefore you have to go to hell. I'll punish you. You will have to go to hell for this anrita dosha. Anrita means the fault of falsity. Falsity means you gave a false promise. Okay, you gave a wrong kind of promise. You don't have enough bank balance, but you have given me a check that got bounced. That's the mistake that you have done. Okay, so and he's tolerating all these insults. What kind of logic Krishna Vamandev is putting in front of him, right? You wanted 3 steps when you are a small child, and when it became so big, and then now you are accepting it. Then now you are accepting 3 steps. So I was thinking that you will accept steps of your small feet only. He said, I never said I will not expand. I said 3 steps according to my measurement, the measurement of my feet. Okay. If I expand my feet, you have to give like that. So he tolerated all that. He tolerated arrest also. He tolerated insult also. He tolerated the curse of his own guru. Sukracharya cursed him. Okay, if you give charity to him, you lose all your wealth. Because he accepted that curse. He tolerated the criticism of Prahalad Maharaj also. He tolerated the criticism of his wife, Vindhyavali also. Okay. You see, Bali Maharaj in his devotion, he said, what is the use of this wealth and sovereignty, wife, children, home, this and that. And then his wife came, Vindhyavali came. And she said, my dear Lord, there are some people who think that they are the masters, they are the proprietors, they are the enjoyers. Good that you have taken everything from my husband. Right? Later he said, wife is, what is the use of home, children, wife, etc. He kind of said something indirectly about Vindhyavali. Vindhyavali is directly saying, yes, some people like my husband, they think that they are the proprietors. My dear Lord, thank you for taking away everything from him and proving that you are the supreme proprietor, not he. Okay. He tolerated all the taunting also. All this is happening publicly, by the way. Publicly means not just 4 or 5 people are there. All the universal celebrities are there. So many sages and Danavas and Devatas. Brahma was also there, right? It's a big public event. He's arrested like that in front of everyone. Okay. He is bound with Varuna Pasha. He tolerated all that. Then Lord Vamanadev said, thank you for your tolerance, Bali Maharaj. I'm so impressed with your tolerance. Okay. So I accept you as mine and I belong yours. I'll become your gatekeeper in Sutala Loka. So this is the degree to which a devotee can exhibit tolerance. Mother Parvati cursed Chitraketu Maharaj. Chitraketu Maharaj tolerated the curse. He came down and said, my dear mother. And she cursed him to become a demon. And now he's respectfully addressing his mother. Okay, see what degree of tolerance he's exhibiting. It's not that easy, this kind of tolerance. So he exhibited the tolerance. So yeah, there are long stories. We can go deep into each of these stories, but we'll just highlight only the names of the devotees who exhibited tolerance. Draupadi. So Draupadi exhibited tolerance. On what basis? On the basis of forgiveness. Ashwathama killed her 5 sons. So what could be a greater pain for a mother than losing her children? All children. Okay. So, but when Ashwathama was bound by ropes of Arjuna and he was presented in front of Mother Draupadi, you know what Draupadi said? I know what it means to lose his son. I lost all my 5 sons. I cannot give similar pain to Ashwathama's mother, Kripi. She has only 1 son. Although she lost 5 sons, she could not tolerate the pain of another mother if she loses her son. Even while experiencing pain, a devotee thinks of another person, right? The devotee does not want to give pain to another person, although he or she himself or herself experiences a lot of pain. That is the degree to which she tolerated her own pain. Devotee tolerates pain on a personal level, but devotees cannot tolerate pain of others. They're para dukkha dukhi. Okay, not para sukha dukhi. This the wives of Chitraketu Maharaj, they were like para sukha dukhi. Seeing the happiness of Kritadhyuti, they became very, very envious. They could not tolerate the happiness of Kritadhyuti, their co-wife. And now Draupadi could not tolerate the unhappiness of Kripi. So let her be happy. Let Ashwathama live. She just forgave him. Then Haridas Thakur tolerated. So all these examples, Jada Bharat and Kunti Maharani she's inviting more and more calamities. So like that we have examples of so many such personalities, like Parikshit Maharaj tolerated the curse. Prahalad Maharaj tolerated all the insults of Hiranyakashipu. Rukmini Devi, see, Mother Rukmini, she was being forcefully given in marriage to Shishupal. Means Rukmi was forcing her to marry Shishupal, although she loved Gopal. Okay, but she wrote a love letter to Krishna, and Krishna came and kidnapped her. Then Rukmi chased, and Krishna captured him, and he was about to kill him. Then immediately Rukmini Devi said, "Don't kill my brother." So she was praying. There, in the universal history, we had brothers who tormented their sisters. We had fathers who tormented their children. We had wives who tormented their husbands. We had husbands who tormented their wives. But the counterpart, the other party, is exhibiting tolerance, and tolerance based on devotion. We have Brahmana Patnis who were not very much well treated by their husbands. Okay, they were trying to go and serve Krishna, and they say, "Hey, don't go." Right? We had Suniti, neglected by Uttanapad. We had Suruchi, controlled Uttanapad. Okay, Uttanapad is simultaneously acting like a husband who has ignored one wife, neglected and insulted and mistreated one wife, and he's also an example of a henpecked husband who is being controlled by his wife, another wife, Suruchi. Suruchi is controlling him. Although Uttanapad wanted to lift Dhruva and keep him on his lap, because of Suruchi's presence, he could not do it. Right? So Uttanapad is another example. Like Prahalad, he was tormented by his own father. Devaki, she was troubled by her own brother Kamsa. Rukmini was troubled by her own brother Rukmi. But when Kamsa heard the announcement made by Durga, and he thought that my sister must be really special. She has given birth to Durga. And Kamsa fell at the feet of Devaki after killing her 6 children. And Kamsa says, "Please forgive me, my dear sister. I did not kill your children. Their karma killed them. I'm an instrument of their karma. Please forgive me." So she forgave. Right? She forgave wholeheartedly. Vasudeva forgave him wholeheartedly. Rukmini forgave Rukmi wholeheartedly. So forgiveness is the visa for entrance into spiritual world. Okay, forgiveness, all the qualities, right? But forgiveness is really a special quality. We'll discuss more on forgiveness. We are making a transition from tolerance to forgiveness. Tolerance is exhibited externally in the dealings, but internally what is there? Forgiveness is there, right? So when we have forgiveness at heart, then tolerance becomes very natural. When we have gratitude and respect at heart, empathy and sympathy at heart, tolerance becomes very natural. So we'll discuss about forgiveness in greater detail, but I'll pause here. It's 40 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask. Sanjay Prabhu, you had a question last week, I remember. You can ask your question.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, like, like very first session for today, right? You already covered what was my question actually, like, so I can repeat that question, Prabhu, right? So like, my question with 2 points, like, the gratitude and the tolerance basically, right? So like in our, the basically like our tolerance and gratitude always, like, in like in my situation, I can consider not the others, but it's always like biased, right? Like we show like our gratitude and our tolerance to the the senior devotees, or the superiors, right? But it is, we are not able to show the same, the gratitude or respect and the tolerance to the, like, the neophyte, or the, like, the same level devotees, right? I mean, so that just I want to know, like, like how we can cultivate that, or can we can tolerate that, the urge of that kind of attitude actually, or we can eliminate that kind of attitude, or that thinking of, like, we have to, like, equally we should be, like, tolerating that, the superiors as well as the, like, neophyte, or in the same way like gratitude as well, right? We always ready to show our gratitude to the seniors and the superiors, but we have like always hesitate to show the same respect and same gratitude to the our, like, same level the devotees. Yeah.
We can tolerate the small mistakes done by younger people when we love them. There's kindness. We can tolerate the strictness shown by elders because we are respectful and grateful to them. So yes, that qualities of empathy, sympathy, kindness, gratitude, compassion, all this will help us tolerate uh, some inconveniences caused by people around us. Right? There is love, tolerance becomes very easy. Okay, bro. So thank you. Any other question or comment? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank
Prabhu, and my question, like basically I have two questions, but maybe they can be merged in one. So tolerance at mind level, in my personal life, I feel it very, very difficult, because this is in one sense one kind of misery that is caused by the mind and body itself. So it is coming to me, and it's like it sticks like a tar. How much ever I'm trying to get rid of it, hearing, reading so much, but my probably my purpose is not to please Krishna, but get rid of this miserable situation. Different things, like maybe some ambitions were rooted in childhood, and they still go on, and there is a constant failure, competition in the external world, and required skills may not be there, and there is no patience to cultivate those skills as well. So this whole catch 22 situation keeps going for me. And I agree in principle that we do need to tolerate, but I probably don't know in different situations how to apply this principle, because mind is always looking for some generalization, some generic principle that okay, this is one thing that I can follow in all circumstances. So I'm probably not taking enough responsibility. I don't know if you could guide Prabhu.
Basically, all these qualities uh, have their foundation in devotion. You know this. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais satra samasate suraha. In I think in all these 4 or 5 sessions, we have also highlighted on the connection, relationship between all these qualities. There is a wonderful natural relationship between these qualities of gratitude, tolerance, compassion, satisfaction, humility. All these things are connected to each other, and ultimately all of them have their foundation in our devotion to Krishna, bhakti to Krishna. So therefore, one who performs bhakti yoga nicely and follows the principles of devotional service sincerely with all integrity, naturally, eventually, sooner or later, will be able to cultivate and manifest these qualities of tolerance and all. Yes, we can also put some separate endeavor to do it. When we are discussing about one quality, that becomes a highlight. Okay, but they are all natural outcomes of a person who is sincerely practicing bhakti. So by sincerely practicing bhakti, what does it mean? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam. So we have a list there also. We have a list of Vaishnava qualities here and a list of processes of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. When we observe our minds in that, eventually all these things will manifest like gratitude and all that. So the foundation is bhakti. We can put some special emphasis on these qualities also, and by separately discussing them and trying to cultivate, trying to remind ourselves, we can cultivate them. So I didn't get what is the specific question. Maybe I forgot.
I guess I mixed two questions. So the main question was like, I am able to understand that this is mind, but it is like so stuck that it's so getting so difficult to get rid of it that time and again. I'm understanding that this is
basically in our material circles. If I got your question right, in our material circles, we just do the needful. Don't be overly ambitious and overly trying to be perfectionist. What do we need to do in human life? We need some livelihood. We need some money to maintain our bodies. That's all right. That's the purpose. And we need to earn that money with integrity. Okay. So we need self-awareness. What are we? We are servants of Krishna. We are amshas of Krishna. We need self-awareness, and we need to also do self-preservation. Self-preservation means there the context is physical maintenance. Okay, we need to do something for our self-preservation, but our attempts for self-preservation should not compromise our real self-awareness that we are souls. In the first point of self-preservation, the self is the body. In the second point of self-awareness, self is the soul. So self can be body and soul also, depending on the context. So we need self-preservation, means do the needful for maintaining the body. In essence, it is earning a livelihood, to eat, to sleep, to stay. That's all, right? So, and do it with integrity. So let that zone, that area of our life not be so overwhelming and so bothering our head that we compromise on bhakti, right? So we need to have self-preservation with self-awareness. Who am I? I'm a soul connected to Krishna, and the purpose of my life is to just go to Krishna. Render selfless service to Krishna. So that should be the primary thing. And in the background, this is happening. Self-preservation is happening. There in our work life, where we are just doing to earn our livelihood, we may have hundreds of interactions with so many people. And sometimes it's very irritating. Let's not bother so much. It's okay. For example, I have a clash with a devotee. Okay. It pains my heart. Okay. Or it pains that person's heart also, because I value the relationship. There's some strain there. I'm traveling in a local train in Mumbai. Okay. And then I had a clash with some strange passenger, right, who is just passing by. He is not allowing me to get in, or whatever. There's some seat clash or something like that. Will I take it so seriously? By the time I get down from the train, I forget the incident only. Or the clash may be there for 1 minute. After 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I may completely forget and focus my mind on something else, because the relationship is not so deep. Right? Same thing with our dealings with matter. Where the relationship matters, of course, we have to have good relationships. Devotee ultimately wants friendly relationships with all living beings. But at our stage, the point is we get affected when our near and dear ones trouble us. But when a stranger is doing something, we will not get affected. will not take the morning in local train. Somebody pushed me like this. Okay. And you can't just lament for it whole day or the next 1 week.
Right.
That's forgot. That's by default forgotten in 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes. Right? Oh, gali diya, dhakka mara. We don't think like that. Similarly, on a bodily plane, to maintain the body, we may have to do many things, but we don't take it very seriously. Right? It's okay, let it happen. There, if I put my mind in it so much, uh, like I didn't get promotion, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. Okay, do we have some food to eat? Do we have some bank balance to meet with personal emergencies? That's fine, right? What will I do with more money?
Right.
What will I do with this and that? What will I do with promotion? What will I do with this position? That's anyways temporary. So even in spiritual circles, it happens. ये 5 साल से आश्रम में हूँ मेरे को HOD नहीं बनाया, right? So there are some insecurities that even devotees feel in devotional circles. What to speak of insecurities in work life, in corporate circles. So let's not allow our mind to go in these directions. Okay. So opportunities come and go; they are temporary, but absorption is our responsibility. We should not be looking forward for privileges. We should be looking forward for participation in Krishna's service. Right? I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely,
relation
Prabhu,
to
it
your
makes
question.
sense. It relates to my situation. Absolutely, Prabhu. I'm so
Because
grateful.
like even the youth is like this now. Young people are getting really frustrated and insecure and anxious. What's going to happen? Even in 9th standard, 10th standard, 8th standard, career-related concerns are overwhelming kids, teens. And I don't have these skills. Will I be accepted? I don't know this. I don't know that. And sometimes some young people, they show an artificial overconfidence. I can do anything now. I can become a YouTuber. I can become a social media influencer. Right? They have their own, confidence. Okay. So some are overconfident, some are underconfident. So, like, just do the needful to maintain the body and focus on bhakti. That's all we need to do. Simplify life. Let's have simple living and high thinking. Let's simplify life and not complicate life.
Yes.
These are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Parama-
Needed lots of blessings to achieve this. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was just wondering, it's a very nice way to analyze things like, Nayam Janmo Sukha Dukkha Hetoho, the verse which he said, right, Prabhu? He is not the cause, Devata is not the cause. But there are people in this world who are running with blame game. When something happens, they immediately blame somebody. If no one around, then God. Okay. But if somebody is making one realize that it is our own, as you said, our own karma phala, which we are undergoing, there is a danger that other side of people may also get into depression. As you said, I'm not looking beautiful. I'm not like this. I don't even that. I don't even that. Too much of depression into the face, right? So how one should teach them or tell them to understand that guilty is not meant for one's suffering to increase. Is there a way
So,
we can?
when we commit some mistake or some sinful activity, naturally an honest person feels a sense of guilt. But that guilt should not lead to depression. I think we discussed it in our previous sessions. That guilt should not lead to depression or demotivation, or we should not become dysfunctional. Okay. And I don't know if that's what you're asking, Prabhu, or
Yes, Prabhu. Generally, the cause of suffering, when one undergoes the suffering, right? He will say somebody or the other is the cause. But ultimately, when he is realized that I am the only cause and not having much spiritual knowledge, there is a danger that, I am the cause and I'm useless. People will get demotivated and go to the far extent of suicide tendencies. etc. also. So, in one sense, it is good to know that I am the cause of my own mistakes, but not to that extent. How can we stop that?
Yes. Yeah. Knowing that my own mistakes are the cause of my suffering, we should understand that I should not do mistakes.
Okay.
Right?
But
When I
already
do
done.
that will cause suffering. Let me not do mistakes. Let me not misuse my minute independence. That should be the conclusion. Not that I have done so many mistakes and I'll go into depression. I'll commit suicide. Don't focus on the past misdeeds. Don't just try to shift that focus in the future. Right? Focus to the future. Okay, let me grow well in my intelligence. Let me not misuse my free will anymore. Let me do things properly. Let me improve. That should be the outcome. And whenever some people with the mentality that you were mentioning come to you, we should try to shift the focus to something positive. Try to shift the focus to something productive that will save them from deep depression. Okay, so we need to facilitate that. Just like who is that? Dhruva was insulted by his mother, and he came with a really by his stepmother. He came with a really negative mindset to Mother Suniti, right? So Suniti, what did she do? She identified that the boy is having some revengeful, envious, and deep negative thoughts. She immediately tried to shift his mind to something positive. She said, "My dear child, please don't hate anyone. Please don't hold grudges towards anyone. When we do some mistakes, we face the inconveniences. Don't worry about it. Take shelter of Krishna." She said something positive. So when someone comes with a heart filled with negativity, we should do or say something that brings them to positivity, not aggravate their negativity. When someone comes with a tendency to blame someone, as you were mentioning in your question, blaming, okay? When someone comes to us blaming somebody, of course, we should acknowledge the pain, but we should also understand that we should not aggravate the pain. When will the pain be aggravated? We also start blaming the person whom this person is blaming.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, he's already thinking that he's a demon. Don't demonize him more. You acknowledge the pain, definitely, but don't demonize him even more. Although he's a demon, just somehow bring them to positivity. Don't add to their negativity. Okay. Blame leads to more blame. That's all it does. Okay. Because of this person, I have done this. Okay. Because that person, of course, sometimes we have to discuss. Blaming is needed sometimes. Somebody kills someone, murders someone. You have to blame. You have to blame that person and then plan for an appropriate punishment. But the blame that only leads to more blame, the negative feelings that only multiplies them to become bigger negativity, that we should not allow that to happen. Okay, we should not block our progress. Yes, when we are trying to do some service to Krishna or something, achieve something in life, there may be 10 different blocks put by 10 different people. And sometimes we may tend to, okay, these people are behaving like this. We may have to say that also. We may share it with someone who is more dear. That's natural human tendency to share with someone. That's fine. Stop there. Stop there and don't just get into that blame game only. Find a solution. Find a solution for it. Okay, this person did not allow you to achieve this. No problem. And you feel like saying something about him. Okay, no problem. Say that. If that satisfies you to someone who is very close to you, not that you put it in a notice book, then that's natural. We understand, acknowledge the need. Okay. Then find a solution. Move ahead. Okay. You want to move ahead and someone blocks you and then you don't stop at blaming that person. Just go like this and then find another way. Okay, he's blocking, do like this. Right? Don't just stop here and then start fighting with that fellow. Just go like there's another way. Go like this.
Perfect answer, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, perfect answer. So on a follow-up thing, Prabhu, I also see bigger problem when I see the people, they compare each other. For example, three people are standing and one person comes and talk to only one person or two people. One person is neglected, let's assume, okay, and that person is neglected again and again and again. And why am I being put into this situation again and again? What did I do? A big wrong. Why these people are good at something? Such kind of environment when it's there. How can we help that person to come back to the normal Krishna consciousness? Because no, it may be happening multiple times. It happens. I can't go and tell that person, oh, it has happened, Prabhu, just by chance. No, it happened a couple of times. Now it becomes hard when somebody compares each other, right, Prabhu? Practically, when I see.
Bro, actually, uh, that could be because of a sense of inferiority complex. Some
Okay.
people are introvert. Some people may be introvert. When they come in a gathering, they may not speak much. Even I don't speak so much in our in private conversations, or even 2-3 people are sitting there. If there's a topic, they ask something. If there is a topic to discuss, if I have to say something, there's some service, then I may speak much. But otherwise, someone comes to greet, I may speak 1 or 2 words. That's all. Like some people are not very talkative. They talk only when there's a need. That's fine, no problem. And some people, like, they may not be the first or immediate choice for others to interact with, right? Some people are more jolly, they are like that, like you may interact with them more. So that's okay. One should understand, no problem. I may not extract words from people, okay? One should understand that should not be perceived as neglect or ignore, okay? If it's really so, then have a discussion. But at least, even if someone is consciously neglecting us, let that neglect not make us neglect our own progress. Okay, I should just focus on what is beneficial to me. I should focus on my bhakti. Let me not take the ignore of another person so serious. It's okay, no problem. Maybe that person is busy. Even if he's consciously neglecting, what can I do? Is there any control that I have over that person? Right? We can't. Let me focus on my bhakti. That's why problem is we give priority to things that are of less priority from a spiritual perspective. We prioritize things more from a material perspective and then get into pride or envy or depression or overexcitement. So that's okay. These are all small things. Okay. We should not take these things so seriously. What is more important is how well are we chanting? How much is our meditation on Krishna? How much is our prayerful attitude towards Krishna? Just focus on that. Okay. And what is my behavior towards other devotees? Focus on that rather than focusing on what is their behavior to me. I should be behaving properly. Let me not consciously ignore someone. Let me not, if I'm busy, that's a different thing. Let me not insult any devotee. Let me not hold any negativity or some kind of negative emotions towards another devotee. That should be our priority, right? Because of practical circumstances, we may not be able to interact with everyone. That's fine. When I am unable to interact with someone or someone is unable to interact with me, that should not be the cause of my discouragement in devotional service, right? We should understand things in a more logical, reasonable, rational, sensible perspective rather than getting overly emotional or sentimental. Okay, makes sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Perfectly makes sense, Prabhu. I will allow Madan Adbhut Prabhu. I have one small question, but I'll ask later.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. It's kind of following up with your question for Mahatma Prabhu, the first question that you asked. I mean, sometimes, devotees or kind of neophytes, people who are in beginning stages, they ask, and Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, you were mentioning earlier, right? Like, in our analysis, we may feel we are innocent, but still we may have done some misdeeds in the past, which may be coming to haunt us. But, then we also say, like, in the month of Kartik, just offering a ghee lamp to Damodar, removes all your sins, or doing Tulsi Parikrama, removes all your sins. And then immediately after that, something bad happens to somebody, they'll say, okay, why is bad thing happening to good people? So that's the kind of standpoint. But I was just meditating on this and wanted to get your perspective also, because again, we hear all these examples, beautiful examples that you've given from the Shastra, right? Prahlad Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, Bali Maharaj, again, all these are Mahajans, they're devotees of Lord. Still bad things happen to them, maybe in a form of test that the Lord was giving them. But how do we really explain this thing to somebody new, especially when they ask that kind of question? That, okay, you say, offering a ghee lamp, removes all my sins. Doing Tulsi Parikrama, even takes care of Brahmahatya. So still why?
In our previous sessions, but still, now that you have asked, I'll mention. When we offer a Kartik lamp, all sins are destroyed, so therefore no suffering. Why am I suffering? Even after attending Kartik Yatra 100 times, not 100 times, at least 10 years continuously, why there is COVID virus attacking me? Okay, did Amrish Maharaj not offer a Kartik lamp anytime? A Kartik lamp or something, some devotional activity did he not perform? Why Durvasa Muni attacked him? Did Parikshit Maharaj not perform his devotional service? Why he was cursed to die within 7 days? Sita Devi, what mistake she has done, right? Why she is kidnapped by Ravana? Draupadi, what mistake did she do? Did she not serve Krishna? Is there some sin left in her bank account that she was insulted in the Kuru Sabha? So suffering in this material world is inevitable. So whatever sufferings that we are facing in this world should only prove that this material world is a place of miseries. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So every difficulty or distress that we are facing in this world should only prove to us that Krishna's statement is true. Okay, Krishna said Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, that is truth. Okay, whoever you may be, one has to see distresses here, one has to see difficulties here. So that's the proof. Secondly, we are not the controllers. That also we need to understand. Thirdly, although I have offered a Kartik lamp, although I did parikrama, although I do this and that, I may still commit offenses. Aparadha and anartha. Anartha is still there. If there is lust, envy, greed, pride, that anartha could lead to some suffering. If I have done some offenses to devotees, if I do some Vaishnava aparad or Seva aparad or Guru aparad or Dham aparad or Nam aparad, when I do some offenses, that will lead to suffering, right? So just because I offered a Kartik lamp, that does not mean I don't offend a Vaishnava. If I offend a Vaishnava, even if I offer Kartik lamp, I'll have to suffer, right? As simple as that. So we may not be overexcited with the incentives given in the Falashruti episodes of all Bhagavatam or other Puranas. So Falashrutis are there. One holy name you chant, it can eradicate more sins than you can commit. That's truth. We don't doubt the potency of holy name. At the same time, we cannot take it so seriously in such a way that we become lax in our devotional service and we get into expectations that whatever I do, holy name should take care. I chanted one holy name. Very sincerely I chanted that day. That should take care of everything. So it's not a license. Just like in this shloka, Nanudveshtika limsamrat saranga ivasara bhuk kushalanyasu siddhyanti netarani kritani yat. In the Bhagavatam it is mentioned that if in Kali Yuga, if someone performs a sinful activity within the mind, one will not get any reaction. But in the previous Yuga, even if someone has a sinful thought in the mind, one will be affected. Just imagine how strict was the ambience in those days. And in Kali Yuga, if you do a good activity within the mind, you will get benefit of it. Vasudeva offered charity of millions of cows in the mind when Krishna appeared. So he gets the benefit. But in previous yugas, only when you physically do that activity, good activity, you will get the result. Getting right? But this statement is not a license for us to only think of doing good and not doing good physically. Okay? Or think of all kinds of sinful activities. I will not be penalized anyways, no problem. Okay, I can do all sense gratification within the mind. Right? That does not mean we say, I chanted 16 rounds today. I chanted 64 rounds today. Within the mind. Within the mind, you think that I have chanted 64 rounds, you don't actually chant, spending 2 hours or whatever number of hours. That's not the license. So these kind of concessions are given to encourage us to perform devotional service more, not to escape from devotional service. I don't know if that makes sense in relation with your question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay,
Yes, thank you
thanks
so
so much.
much.
Should we continue or you have one more question? We had, I think, half an hour Q&A.
Yes, bro. That's what I was also thinking. Only 20 minutes. So I can ask quick question, Prabhu. Now, you were nicely telling about Kamsa realizing, right, when he saw Durga Devi, and he then realizes, nobody is the cause of all suffering. All such realizations of these personalities are very, very temporary. Right, Prabhu. So, I mean, that's my understanding. If it was a true thing, if it was a really a true realized situation, things could have been definitely a different thing. Even a devotees will also fall prey into such temporary realizations, Prabhu. It's a temporary realization, right, Prabhu? When I see Kamsa or Hiranyakashipu also talking about big things, we are Atma, and Hiranyaksha was this thing. So how can we see a person speaking so realized in knowledge, but still be foolish? Or no, I'm just trying to.
Actually, demons are inconsistent. Duryodhan, he told Krishna, I will not give even that much land that could be accommodated under the tip of a needle. He said, I will not give this land to Pandavas. But when Arjuna went to Duryodhan's camp in the middle of the war, Duryodhan received Arjuna so nicely, with so much love, and said, Arjuna, what do you want? Whatever you want, I'll give you. You want me to stop this war? I'll stop the war. Right? Arjuna said, I just want those 5 arrows. Bhishma said that with these 5 arrows, I will kill the Pandavas, right? Just give me those 5 arrows. You know the story, right? Okay. So sometimes they're very good, sometimes they are very bad, they're inconsistent. But in the case of devotees, a sincere devotee may get a deep realization. I must chant the holy names of Krishna with great attentiveness. I should not touch mobile phone during chanting. We may say that, but next day we may touch, right? Okay. Sometimes we may just keep the mobile phone aside. And then many times I try to do that. I don't take my mobile phone into the, when I go to temple hall for chanting. But when I chant in room, I'm honestly admitting I keep taking phone once in a while, at least when it rings. Okay. So therefore physically I try to avoid, okay, keep it aside and then go somewhere else and then come back and then see, okay, there are some messages. Okay. So we may have some honesty to follow something, to follow certain resolution, right? But we may fail to do so. That's what sadhana bhakti is. Sadhana bhakta is sincere, okay, sincere in deciding to perform devotional service, but he may not have the ability to consistently do devotional service. He may just fall sometimes and he will get up and then continue. Okay, because there are still some anarthas and some weaknesses, some shortcomings are there. They may pull us back sometimes, and again we will try to get up and do. So there's a sincere intention. So in sadhaka's case, although a sadhaka fails in following certain processes of devotional service with consistency and all, still there's a sincere intent to follow them. That makes a sadhaka qualified. If there is no inconsistency at all, he's not a sadhaka anymore. He's a perfected devotee. In practice stage, there are imperfections, there are inconsistencies, but the inconsistency is not the intention, is not in the intention. The inconsistency is only in the practice sometimes. In practice, We may fail sometimes, and we get up and we continue the practice because there's an intention, there's a resolve, there's a determination, there's a conviction, there's a commitment to the process. Okay, some can intensely perform bhakti, some may become little distracted or they may become little lax, and there are small phases. But if the phase of distraction becomes more, if the phase of inconsistency becomes more, and consistency is very small. Once in a while, we are chanting 16 rounds, and most of the times we are just not chanting only. Then he's not a sincere sadhaka yet. Okay. Does it make sense, Prabhu?
Yeah, absolutely, Prabhu. Because such things, when we see within ourselves, I understand the difference is lack of sincere inclination towards the bhakti is present in a devotee, though it may appear as what he gave the examples. Okay.
Yeah. Because we may not compare a struggling sadhaka with Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa. It's too unpleasant. He's really struggling. Okay, poor fellow, he's struggling to chant and keep oneself awake in the classes or in chanting. But he's not leaving feedback. Although he's sleeping sometimes, but he is somehow managing to complete 16. Let's acknowledge that fact. He's not Hiranyakashipu, he's not Kamsa. Okay.
Sure, bro. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Now we'll get into some forgiveness. So we have many other such beautiful examples. Vrajavasis are another wonderful example of tolerance. So coming to forgiveness, a devotee forgives and forgets any offense against oneself. A Vaishnava is personally detached from his material body, and therefore he is able to overlook the obnoxious behavior he sometimes meet within the course of preaching work. Because when there is too much of bodily identification, any difficulty or inconvenience that comes to the body cannot be tolerated, and the person who caused that inconvenience cannot be forgiven. But a devotee in principle understands that this body is temporary, the bodily inconveniences are temporary, and whenever someone troubles my body, I try to tolerate and forgive that person. Right? So Prabhupada says that forgiveness is the quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. And the basis of forgiveness is a spiritual conception, not bodily conception. Okay. Even in those who are in bodily conception also may forgive sometimes. Okay. But that's also in the bodily conception only. Okay. But in spiritual circles, forgiveness is very, very important quality. If we don't forgive, we will not be forgiven. The external tolerance must be having the background of internal forgiveness. One should not just tolerate the harsh words or insults of other people, but also try to forgive that person with a peaceful mind. So if you have any hope of peace in this world, that is only because of forgiveness. Okay. If we master the art of forgiveness, we can be peaceful at heart. So one who is unable to forgive someone's mistake, some inconvenience, cannot attain peace at heart. Like you see, actually speaking, Vaishnavas do not have this quality of forgiveness. How? The answer is, they don't take any offense seriously only. Where is the question of forgiveness? So forgiveness topic arises when there is an offense. But a Vaishnava doesn't perceive any offense only. So there is no question of forgiveness only. I forgive you. Vaishnava will never say like that. Okay. By default, your offense is not taken seriously. If you're a very mature Vaishnava, by the way. Okay. So, but anyways, let's discuss about forgiveness. Although forgiveness doesn't exist in the heart of a great devotee because he never takes the offenses so seriously. But forgiveness is actually a very beautiful and holistic experience of the heart. When somebody does a mistake and you become so agitated, so irritated, so angry, so upset with the person, so what's the state of your mind? When someone is doing a mistake and you take that mistake so seriously to the heart, just analyze the state of your mind. you're agitated, you're frustrated, you're screaming, you're yelling, you're not peaceful at all. But just replace all the frustration and agitation of the mind with the quality of forgiveness. See how light you will become. So the heaviest thing that we can ever hold is not 100 kilo iron bar. It is grudge, negativity, resentment, negativity in the heart towards a person. But forgiveness eliminates that negativity. So then heart becomes light. You want to keep your heart light. You want to keep your mind light. Forgive. And one more thing, forgiveness does not mean you don't take any action. When someone does a mistake, you may have to chastise the person, and you may even punish the person. You may scold the person if needed. So all these things are there. You take an action. In the name of forgiveness, you can't allow some nonsense to happen. We discussed it in the context of tolerance also earlier. Okay. You may not tolerate. Externally, you are intolerant of something wrong that is happening. But internally, there is forgiveness towards the person who has done that thing wrong also. Okay. You don't approve that person's mistake. Okay. You don't approve the person's mistake, but at heart, forgive that person for doing the mistake. Become light at heart. You can be fierce in your action. You can be strict and firm in your decision and action, and your words also, if needed, depending on the time, place, circumstance, and the severity of the mistake that is done by other person. But at heart, forgive the person. Don't hold any negativity. Don't hold any grudge. You have forgiven the person, but still you are punishing the person because you want his welfare. You want the service to be done properly. Right? You want a positive transformation in the situation. At heart, don't hold grudge. Okay. So if you can learn the art of becoming strict, becoming becoming a punisher or chastiser, or someone who can streamline things, manager, right? If you can master that art of doing it, while cultivating the quality of forgiveness, we can be effectively doing things. I have nothing against you, by the way, as a person. You are a child of Krishna. I have love, sympathy, appreciation for you, for what you are. But this particular activity that you have done is not appropriate. Therefore, I am disapproving. Therefore, I am chastising. Therefore, I am punishing. That's what Krishna does. Krishna forgives all of us. But that forgiveness of Krishna does not mean he doesn't punish us. Forgiveness is not necessarily relieving oneself from a punishment for a mistake done. That's not necessarily forgiveness. Okay, you have done this mistake, I have forgiven you. Small things you can do. Small mistakes you can forgive, and you may not give a punishment. Okay, you may not chastise, or you may not scold. But something serious mistake that is affecting multiple people, you have to take an action against that person. But at heart, don't hold negativity. That not holding negativity is equivalent to forgiveness. That's what I'm saying. So if you can't forgive a person at heart, then you're holding that negativity. If you can forgive the person at heart, but in your actions, that forgiveness is not being manifest as encouraging a nonsensical activity. Forgiveness does not mean encouraging a nonsensical activity. Right? Forgiveness only means at heart you are not holding anything, any grudge towards the other person. Right? So that's the need for forgiveness. Bhakta svabhava agna dosha kshama kare, Krishna svabhava bhakta ninda sahitena pare. So the nature of a devotee is to forgive the offender. Agna dosha. Agna is a ignorant person. Dosha means faults. An ignorant person can have so many faults, but Bhakta Swabhava is to forgive that person. But Krishna Swabhava, Bhakta Ninda Sahitena Pare. But Krishna cannot forgive a person who does a mistake, right? Who offends a devotee. So doesn't Krishna have the quality of forgiveness at his heart towards Duryodhana? Duryodhana did such heinous activities towards Pandavas. Arjuna said, I'll forgive him. I'll not take any action. What did Krishna say? Krishna said, you can't forgive him, by the way. My dear sir, don't forgive him. You forgive, no problem, but I will not forgive. As a Vaishnava, you can forgive. As Krishna, I cannot forgive. I have to take an action. So he pushed him, he encouraged him to participate in the Kurukshetra war. And finally, Duryodhan is lying in a pool of blood, with his thigh broken by Bhima's Gada. Okay, he's doing that. And Krishna looked at Duryodhan. He's lying in a pool of blood. Krishna felt so bad. My God, I gave this fellow so many opportunities. I gave him so many good advices. My devotees, Bhishma gave advice, Vidura gave advice, Dharmaraj gave advice. So many people gave him good advice. Even Gandhari spoke to him. At times, Dhritarashtra also gives him some good counsel. But Duryodhana did not listen. He became so adamant. He was so proud. He was so greedy for the kingdom. He was so envious of Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the Pandavas. He tried to kill them in 100 different ways. So Krishna could not forgive him in the sense that he orchestrated Kurukshetra war so that he punishes this Duryodhana. But at heart, Krishna doesn't have any negativity towards Duryodhana. Krishna did not hold any grudge or anything. Even Pandavas also did not hold. Especially Yudhishthira Maharaj never had any grudge. Sometimes Bhima is very angry, burning with anger. But at heart, devotees do not hold anything negative, right? So Krishna has unlimited forgiveness towards all living beings. That's why he's constantly inviting us, please come to me. That's why he's still staying within our hearts. Okay, he's tolerating. But at the same time, he is giving the necessary reaction to our misdeeds. Okay. So to get freedom from anger, we should learn how to forgive. Because when there is no quality of forgiveness at heart, that will manifest as anger and intolerance and shouting, yelling, screaming, etc. Okay, so if sugar is not sweet, you cannot call it sugar. Just imagine you are putting some sugar in your mouth. It's so salty, so pungent. Then it's not sugar, by the way. It's not sugar. Sugar is the natural quality of, sweetness is the natural quality of sugar. Similarly, forgiveness is the natural quality of a devotee. Right? If a person cannot forgive, he cannot be called devotee. Simple. These are the extent to which the quality of forgiveness in a devotee are glorified. Okay. One cannot be called a Vaishnava without the quality of forgiveness. So there is Bhagavatam shloka that says, Kshamaya rochate lakshmir brahmi shauri yatha prabha kshaminam asu bhagavam stushyate haririshvaraha. Kshamaya rochate lakshmi. So by kshama means the quality of forgiveness. A Brahmana's heart shines brilliantly with the quality of forgiveness. Okay, when someone wears a necklace, like Lord Vishnu wears necklace, Kaustubhamani, his heart is shining. Already his body is shining. Although it is blackish, it shines, but Kaustubhamani is shining. So, but a devotee's heart is not shining with the ornament, external ornament he wears, but the internal ornament of kshamata that he wears. Kshamaya rochite lakshmir brahmi sauri yatha prabha kshiminam asu bhagavam stushyate haririshvaraha. Those who have the quality of forgiveness can completely please Krishna, right? So we can please Krishna by developing this quality of forgiveness. So feelings expressed when we forgive others are, we feel relieved, we feel very peaceful. We are well-wishing. We have well-wishing attitude, gratitude. We are grateful to the person's hundreds and thousands of contributions, right? We are able to forgive and tolerate some little mistakes that they have done. If it is serious, we may take an action, but if it's something small, okay, no problem, forgiven, okay? So we are optimistic, and it's very refreshing and relieving and liberating when we have the quality of forgiveness. So we entangle ourselves when we don't have the quality of forgiveness, where do we get? How do we get entangled? We entangle ourselves in with envy, with negativity, with grudge, with jealousy, with anger, with all these negative qualities when we cannot forgive. As soon as we forgive, we are relieved, we are liberated from all these qualities. We are liberated from anger, we are liberated from negativity, we are liberated from envy, grudge, pride, greed. All that is gone when we have this quality of forgiveness. Okay, so real forgiveness must come from heart, not that external say, maaf kar diya. Okay, I didn't feel bad at all, Prabhu. I didn't feel bad. But internally, you're only useless fellow. Internally, you're thinking like that. That's not forgiveness. Okay, real forgiveness must come from heart. Okay, in the beginning, we may forgive on a more superficial platform, but because of real forgiveness, real forgiveness will take some time to come out genuinely from heart. But if the experience had been extremely traumatic, it takes even more long time. Small inconveniences are there, okay, we may tolerate. But the experience is really traumatic, it's difficult to forgive a person. But when it is very difficult to forgive a person for the severe mistakes that he has done, severe inconveniences and troubles that he has caused to us, then you know what we should do? We should pray to Krishna. Krishna, please give me the ability to forgive. I really want to forgive. I am desiring to forgive this person, but the nonsense that he has done to me is not allowing me to forgive him. Please give me the ability to forgive. I want to forgive because that forgiveness pleases you, my dear Lord. I want to please you. How can I come to you? How can I come to Goloka or Vaikuntha or the spiritual world? By holding grudge against this person. Although he is a sinful person, although he troubled me so much, he's your child. He's a naughty child. He's a haughty child. He's a mischievous child. But he's your child. Okay? How can I come to you by holding grudge towards your child? So, when we are in our last moments, leaving this world, if we are holding any negativity or grudge or envy towards any other person in this planet, whether they are human beings or animals or rakshasas or rakshasa type human beings, if we hold something negative, how can we get entrance to Krishna's Goloka? What is the nature of Vrindavan? Yatra naisarga durvairaha sahasan ramrugadayah mitrani vajitavasa darshanadikam. So yatra naisarga durvairaha, although naturally there is some enmity between two species, tiger and human being, a lion and a deer. Although there is natural enmity because of the being in the species, that natural enmity is also not there in Vrindavan. They all reside together in transcendental friendship. No tiger would kill a deer. There's a transcendental friendship amongst all the Vrajavasis. Why? It is Ajita Vasa. Ajita Avasa means the residence of the unconquerable Krishna. We have to conquer our envy and we have to cultivate the ability to forgive, to get entrance into the spiritual world, to entrance into Krishna's Avasa. Okay. So our acharyas have spoken a lot on forgiveness. I think I have crossed beyond. It's 8:34 now. I went beyond time a little bit. So, but you have asked so many questions. So I'll conclude here. We will continue the quality of forgiveness in the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
If you have any questions on the forgiveness in this 20 minutes, 25 minutes that we spoke, you can ask in the next session.
Yes,
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.